you got to be at the top of your game. And, our guys were ready to play. And, we had some unfortunate things. The early tip ball and some protection, miscommunication issues. But the guys were ready to go. We just didn't execute, and it was not just us. It was a reflection of everybody involved. It was pick a play. The offensive line screws up on this play. Running back screws up on this play. Quarterback doesn't change the protection on this play. We don't change the protection like we're supposed to on this play, and then it just starts snowballing, and that's what happened.
Have you seen progress from? It seemed like out of the gate, you guys played pretty well against Colorado. Your group. How's it been since then, in your mind?
I've seen progress in their technique. We came into Troy playing a kind of an unusual defense with some movement, and that challenged our thinking, so to speak, a little bit. But I've seen progress. I can tell you definitively I've seen progress. And, those guys came out and they were, ready to go in Colorado. The good thing about Colorado was that they play a defense that's very similar to ours. So there was not a whole bunch of learning that they had to do, throughout the week. Whereas, now you're playing a different structured defense. Now different guys have to communicate, and the chain of command, has to be reinforced. And those are in some cases the reflection of insecurity as to whether the guy to the right and to the left of me is going to be in the right spot from time to time. So it's that gelling that these guys are continually working on in terms of the scheme and the techniques and the calls and everything else associated.
Where's the progress like? Where have you seen the most progress?
With mainly the tackles, honestly. The tackles in terms of their communication and being accountable to the communication. They've taken it upon themselves, especially this week, doing a really good job of communicating with the center and knowing what the center called and how their job is affected by that call. And also communicating also to the guards. And those guys, coming together and knowing what step to take and knowing how they need to fit the block and knowing where their eyes have to be on each given play based on the look.
Are you at all worried about that progress, taking a step back with a performance like that?
No, not at all. Just shown by the week of practice. I look at the game, but I look at practice in terms of our energy and I look at our technique and, things that we're emphasizing. And I actually felt like this practice, or these few practices that we've had this week have been some of the best yet. So I'm excited about these guys as they move forward in terms of their technique and their communication and everything associated.
I'm sorry to talk about this on Monday. Scott mentioned that some of those younger guards were close to earning a bigger part in the rotation. Is that something you've seen them maybe take steps these last 3 games and maybe earn the right to see the field?
Yeah, absolutely. And later on in the game, we got an opportunity to get some new bodies in there. Trent Hickson, and he was one particular guy we put in there, and he didn't do a bad job. So we're excited about his future, and Hunter Miller stepped in there as well, and Matt Sichterman got an opportunity to play on Saturday. All guys that have some bright futures ahead of them. It was really good to get those guys game reps, although I don't like the situation that they got. I'd rather be up a lot and give those guys game reps than be down a lot.
Is there any of those, particularly those guys you just mentioned, pressing legitimately for a starting job right now?
Too early to tell. Right now,
Game 3
is too early to tell. Right now those guys have a lot of snaps. The guys that we're playing have a lot of snaps, maybe with the exception of Bo Wilson. Those guys have some snaps up under their belt, and they are more seasoned. Whereas those other guys, they got an opportunity to get in there and live bullets, and it was good to get them that game experience so that they can understand what it takes as they move forward, as they get into the game and the situations that they're going to be placed in. so that they can function in the fog. We always talk about functioning in the fog, and in the fog of the game, in the fog of drives. When there's 10-play drive and you're not at the energy system that you were in on play 1 or 2. So they know, and that was the good thing about getting those guys in there is they got a little opportunity to get a taste of it.
Hey, how'd you think your line blocked on the screens?
There was one screen we didn't block. We didn't have good screen timing. The other 2 screens were there. We got a tip ball on the safety when that thing was wide. That was running for a couple yards, but guy got his hand up and deflected the ball, and the other screen. We were in the right spots. This ball kind of sprayed on us a little bit, so we. Overall, I thought their screen timing was good.
It's a tricky play, isn't it? Just because there's so many moving parts, the line, the pass,
yeah,
the back.
and that was, one of our game plans. When you have a really aggressive defense like Michigan's, in order to get those guys to slow down a little bit, you have to, try to dink and dunk the ball, behind their heads, and that was our plan. Heck, the first drive of the game. That ball that probably should have been completed, they got a hand up, and unfortunate because the guard Tanner was into his guy. He lost the balance a little bit. Could have had better hand leverage with his left hand, but nevertheless, whether we gave the ball or threw the vertical route, that thing was wide open. So some of this stuff is unfortunate, and some of this stuff is, hey, you got to keep working. First play of the game, we came off the ball on 4-yard gain. I'll take 4-yard gains all the way to the end zone, right? But that's the way the ball bounces from time to time. What we got to understand is that, we can't have those plays where we can't overcome. And then a lot of times on Saturday, we started a drive and maybe got 1 or 2 yards. I don't like to be 2nd down and 9 because now you play, especially into that defensive hand, because now they treat 2nd down and 9 like 3rd down and 9. They're in a more of exotic front because they can run and rally to the ball. They know their fits. Again, those guys do a great job. Donnie Brown's done a great job throughout the years. I played those guys 2 years ago, and they did a dang good job. Got a few more yards of production 2 years ago with UCF, but that's a good defense. Hats off to those guys.
Yeah, how much of the issues on Saturday was just overall talent, just mismatches?
Some of them were talent. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It was, the one-on-one matchup, and as coach, you can talk to you blue in the face about what a guy should do better, but at the end of the day, the guy's just better than the guy, and we got to continue to build this program and build the roster up to where we can compete.
Is Purdue how's Purdue compare defensively to Michigan, especially up front?
They're not. I'm not gonna talk bad about that. It's really hard to really say that. Michigan's is great. It's good defense. Right? It is what it is. Purdue is not as good a defense as Michigan, and that's no slight on Purdue by any means. Because I don't want my words to get misconstrued. Just saying that Purdue's not a good defense because those guys are good. They're stout up front, just like Michigan was. They get to the ball. Player to player. I don't think that they have the same guys as Michigan, Purdue does. But nevertheless, they still pose some issues, and you still have to be hitting on all cylinders in order to get the ball advanced and get the ball in the end zone against Purdue.